Greetings, God bless, and welcome back. So, I had this realization that we are in the dark ages. We are in new dark ages because um, they're like civilization, good civilization, like reality, good reality is built on evaluating like facts, like this has blue and white stripes. But according to Big Brother, these I mean this even looks like Epstein Island now that I think about it. Please don't. I just bought this silverware set and it came in this bag, but anyways, according to the narrative, maybe this color is evil, right? Evil, 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 right? Like so but is that really scientific, right? Is that really like every time a wall is painted this way, is it really evil? Does this really mean the right? But that's the narrative we are now in. And you can actually look up how um like I have had a friend personally be told that her dog being this color was bad. um and like, yeah, just look up this color and how now it is being doxxed. It's being There's all this stuff being attributed to it. And so when something is as basic as something in the spectrum of the color spectrum is having a emotionally charged term attributed to it, this color is bad, right? um, so how are we dealing with like reality, other parts of reality, right? Because then this hue is bad, right? Regardless of my character, like that's the irony of what we're in. Is Martin Luther King said, I'm dreaming for a day when people are going to be judged for the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. And I think we had that day. That day is past. And now, who knows? Who cares about the content of anybody's character? Their virtue, their integrity, their value is about the hue of their skin. As long as they're playing into the globalists' hands, like as long as they're doing the globalist narrative, willing to do what the globalists say. Because if you do have the the skin tone that's preferred, the skin tone that's being like ennobled. I don't know if that's the proper term, but um, if you do have this darker skin tone, but if you speak against the globalists, then you have all of a sudden become this color somehow, even though you're not. Uh, so that leads me to think or declare, actually, we are in the dark ages. And anybody with any credibility is being um, lawfare, like they're being attacked with lawsuits, their credentials are being questioned, they're losing jobs or opportunities and income. And of course, when you don't have money and when your industry or workplace is targeting you, you get stressed out. And if you don't have good friends, good relations, like family, they might also start thinking you're bad. And so that strains things and can lead to, um, you know, breakup of marriages, dividing in families, estrangement, losing friendships. And it can isolate anybody who is standing for the truth. So, folks, welcome to the Dark Ages. We have, the Spanish Inquisition was never stopped. The Inquisition of the Catholic Inquisition still exists, just as a different name. So, and the Jesuits, who, if you've watched Dan Brown's book, or movie, or the book based on his book. I mean, the movie based on his book. Uh, he kind of shows that, because I didn't know that there was like this military arm of the Catholic Church and like the Jesuits and whatnot. But if you look into who's in charge of like the CIA and whatnot, like there's this occult influence, and it's the Jesuits, and the Jesuits are kind of Babylonian, like some sort of weird cult. So, and it's a satanic religion and organization and whatnot, and they are involved in the paranormal. That's the hard thing for people to realize is that, number one, that there's organized evil, and it's the trusted agents of the public good, and that they're worshiping the devil. But man, if you're not seeing weird stuff, um, from the cooking show to your favorite TV show to the Oscars to football game, like Super Bowl uh, performances, like if you can't tell something's a little weird, like why is evil so popular? Why is all marketing about evil and child molestation, like the Balenciaga, that fashion thing? People are just, what is up with it? And people think it's just a joke. People think or they think, like the globalists have said, that they think pedophilia will reduce population. And what they should say is, when somebody is subject to incest, they are so damaged they won't have, they're not going to have normal, um, reproductive behaviors. And I think that there's, that's true when you've been subjected to psychological violence, because that's what incest is. That's what pedophilia is, because an adult has more brain growth capacity than a 2-year old. And then you're trying to do physical things that a 2-year old body is not developed. And I don't care if it's an 11-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 17 and a half year old. Like, folks, if you're allowed to walk free, you need to learn how to control yourself. And if you can't control yourself, if you won't control yourself, then something's got to be done. But of course, our trusted agents of the public good aren't gonna do anything unless it makes them good look, like, unless it serves an agenda in the news or whatever. So, um, but my point is, we're in the dark ages, and I do believe that there's always some good. I mean, God is in control, and God is letting certain things happen so people lean on Him, get closer to Him. And I agree, things have been very hard. Um, like, when is it going to be over? When's Jesus going to return? Maranatha. Like, I totally am with you if you're feeling that way too. Um, and I think, even though we are at the final hours of the end times, of the last days of the end times, I think we still have to do our best. We still have to represent God fearing humanity. So I know believers, Christians who are like holding up, they're just ignoring what's going on in the world. And I'm like, you know, we're it's the end of the world. But they're like, oh well, I'm just gonna read my scripture and, you know, just be around. And maybe that's the right way. I personally think we need to talk to people about the gospel, um, and we need to be the voice of God. Like, there's this term vox populi. I think it's Latin. I know it's Latin. VOXPOPULI, vox populi. And supposedly the voice of the people is the voice of God. And so even though Satan rules earth temporarily, we do still have a voice. But what is up with people? Like, why have not every major city gathered together and stood for safer, breathing. We get energy from unobstructed oxygen. Like there is um like like our air is not just oxygen, it's other things in it. And we breathe 250,000 times a day. And God gave us life with the breath. How so many Christians are willing to veil their face? And the Bible says, don't veil your face. But people are willing to not only desecrate God's creation, because God created us in his image. Does God wear a mask? No way. I am a creation in God's image. I'm not going to wear a mask. Like if I if I'm in a super polluted place, I will wear a mask, but I'm not going to wear a mask as a signal, as a, a you know concession to some terrified person or some controlling person, because these people are not terrified. If they were terrified, if they were really terrified, if a nuclear bomb went off and they knew radiation was everywhere, do you think they'd be shopping at the grocery store or working at the thrift shop or something, or the library? No. But these weird controlling people, like I think like they didn't have enough, they didn't have like a real sense of self, and so this situation gave them something, gave them this fake uh, validity or something like that. But that's wrong and it's criminal, actually. Like, just because I think you should eat meat and uh, get sunlight, but let's say you're a vegan and you're afraid of the sun, do I get to force you to eat meat and fry in the sun because I think so? No. But these people think they can suffocate me or you or whoever. No, they can't. And our law, like, the thing is, we have a Declaration of Independence, we have the Constitution, we have state law, state constitutions, precedents. And even if somebody is ill, like when there was the AIDS epidemic, which I think was caused by the 1G cell phone rollout, uh, like like it was illegal. Like, I lived in the Bay Area, and people who are gay, who and everybody was paranoid about getting AIDS. Like, there was no store that was like, if you have AIDS, you can't be here. There was no doctors rejected gay people, gay men. No, nobody. But now you are assumed infected, and people think they have a right to be violent against you. I mean, they think they can yell at you and wish you death um, at length, like strangers. Like I had this experience in December 2022, like a couple months ago. Like, it's not at the beginning. Like, people have it's been we're hitting 3 years, and people are keeping this ignorance alive. They've been fine. And you know what? Like, people are calling everything CV. In years past, people had bad sinus infections. In the past, people had bad stomach flus. In the past, people had malaise that they couldn't figure out. And now, all of those things, all those bad colds, all of those bad stomach flus, everything, every crappy thing, your depression, everything is called CV. When in the past it was I just feel really really bad. I feel really really terrible. I can't Doctors can't figure it out because the testing is not even accurate. The testing is like some DNA sequence on the computer. It's not that they have taken something, looked at it under a microscope, and seen the little bugs. No. And we're 3 years into it. 3 years. People have lost their lives, had the most excruciating executions, like been starved to death in hospitals. Just look it up. Like, fact checkers, look it up. It's a fact. Like, people, especially like elderly people, are not given water. They're not given food. They're put. Their restraint arms are restrained. It's worse than death row. Even now, I saw a woman talking about how that her father was executed by the hospital. They wouldn't let the family visit. They won't let families visit because they don't want you to see the torture that they're subjecting patients to. And the reason why is hospitals are there to, well, so medicine. Who does medicine do an oath? Who's that Hippocratic oath to? So this Hippocrates was this Greek guy, medical guy, right? Who was it? Who was he worshiping? Who would he make an oath to? Because who's this oath to? Is this oath to us? Is the oath to the medical board? No, the oath is to Apollo. Apollo is a god of destruction in the Bible. Okay, so doctors, they don't know anything, maybe, at least not the entry level guys, but they're there to make money. Okay, please stop thinking they're there to help you. There may be one in a million that will, that do, that can. I mean, I think there's nice people, but they're not allowed to help you because, excuse me, this whole situation, like everything is run by like the Masons and the Illuminati, the Jesuits, this Babylonian death cult. It's a death cult. We're in a death cult. And for some reason, it's coming to fruition now. And some folks are saying that, excuse me, Satan knows his time is short, so he's trying to rush things. And yeah, I hope that means that Jesus is returning like now, like in 5 seconds. If Satan's time is short, because of this nanotech that's being distributed, this terraforming that's occurring. I mean, there's so many levels of this terraforming. When Bill Gates is, having aluminum and barium, I think, sprayed into the air to reflect the sunlight to reduce global warming, when in fact, we're in the end times. So God is giving us all these signals to wake us up. He's allowing certain crises, certain signs in the sky and weather to be like, I am returning. And then because Satan is the great imitator, Satan uses technology to cause floods or storms or earthquakes, like what happened recently. Um, so we're in the dark ages, folks. We're in the new dark ages, with this heavy censorship and with this ravaging of our fundamental way of being, when everything is about the self, everything is about appearances, surface appearances. When there's like no morality about protecting children, where they're teaching porn in schools. Uh, this is a dark age, and where you're shamed for saying, "Hey, let a kid just be a kid." A kid does not have sex hormones to engage. A child doesn't even have stature to protect themselves. A child does not have mental fortitude to navigate all the predators, because somebody who's a predator against children is very sophisticated, because they're navigating through parents and uh, whoever, and they're probably getting into positions of power, like being a teacher or being a priest or something like that. You know, um, maybe a psychiatrist or something. So they get into these positions where then the vulnerable is brought to them, and um, you know the kid is, like the teacher says, okay, parent, you need to leave, and and then the predator's like, I'll kill you, or I'll kill your family if you say anything. And the thing is, I like, there are people who won't believe the kid, and or will blame the kid. Like, I saw how a child predator was saying that the child seduced the man, and that is 0%. 0%. I don't even care if the kid does do something. Like, you are an adult and they are a kid. And let's look at this supernaturally. Now, when you are grounded, sober, rested, fed, you're kind of collected. You're kind of, in a homeostasis, I think we could say. And when you've had a fairly good life with learned things, had some challenges, had enough support to overcome those challenges. So you kind of, and you've learned how the world works a little bit. You've learned how people work a little bit. Now, has a 2 year old, does a 2 year old have that? Does a 9 year old? Does even a 17 year old? In my personal opinion, I think adulthood is reached about 40 years old. And I had a lot of responsibilities when I was 11. When I was a young person, I had a lot, way too much, I think. So I'm not saying that people under 40 don't have responsibilities. I'm not saying that they're not reliable or mature in a certain way, but I think the brain, it just, there's just stuff that you don't see. And maybe I'm wrong, but anyways, um, child predators who try to rationalize that it's the child's fault is just another part of this. What's that word? Deflecting, or when you're telling the victim that they're the harmful, they're doing the harmful behavior. I can't remember what the psychological term is, but anyways, when there's a child predator at fault, it's 100% the child predator's fault. If they're in the presence of a child and something going around, if a child predator is making good, they will never be around a child, or especially alone in the presence of a child. Just You just don't, like, you just don't, if that's what you do. I mean, I I do not want unattended children, like solo children, to like be in a closed off room with me. Okay, because not that I'm going to do anything, but I don't want the parent worrying or wondering. um, and also, the child should never think that they should be alone with a stranger, like, unless it's like a trusted family friend or family member. That's just how it should be, um, in my opinion. Because yeah, just children are really such targets. They're such big targets. I mean, I was targeted a lot, for a lot, like every day for years, just to hold all these different demographics. Whether it was the construction guys or the Puerto Rican or Cuban people at every street corner, all these men, in the workplace. It was just, like, life was a nightmare as a young person. Um, so, and that was like, as a like preteen or teenager. Um, so yeah, it's like, that was really hard. That was really stressful. It was difficult to enjoy life when all these adult men are hooting, hollering, and whistling, and demanding customer service. Like, somehow they thought a young single woman had to. give them service, stroke their ego, like a stranger. And they were always in a group too, like like and so and when women are gang raped, people want to blame that woman, and yet these guys are these guys have wives, mothers, daughters, and yet they were doing that to me, and all demographics, all there was not any, like, I guess Chinese guys don't, Asian guys weren't doing it, you know. I mean, there have been weird things with that too, but anyway, we're in the dark ages. Um, Things were probably better in the 80s, 70s, and 80s in some respects, but patriarchy was out of control. Like, and that's the thing. Like, when patriarchy is out of control, where the good men don't stop the naughty men, the stupid men, the possessed men, and that's what I was trying to get to. So a little child that hasn't been well fed, isn't well rested, um, is kind of out of it. They may be a portal, like demons might be coming into their space. So children may be, um, you know, possessed by a demon of anger or a demon of sensuality. I mean, I have heard some people say that children can be very sensual, like can have radiate this. And um, I I think there and it may be that their meridians are off. It may be that, hey, they do have an excess of some type of hormone that's an imbalance. Uh, because um, our medical system is not watching for uh, the estrogen in the food and the water, that's disrupting hormones, or even stress. Like children's stress can mess up their hormones, because when a child is under so much stress all the time, so their body's producing cortisol like 24/7. They never get a break. And cortisol does something called cortisol steal in women or in females. So like it uses up, like their estrogen doesn't get to be created, their progesterone doesn't get to be created. So all that these little girls, when they're under constant stress, is just producing like cortisol. They don't get to have their estrogen or progesterone or pregnenolone. So I just wanted to declare, this is the dark ages, and maybe it's the darkest ages. Um, it seems like we know that there's the dark ages during Lot's time in Sodom and Gomorrah, and in the days of Noah. And I have a sense that we are in, like it's this worse, the um, just because it's a multi-level attack that we have been subjected to, like the poisons in the water and the division of friends and family from each other. And I mean, it's just so many things, the injections, the terraforming. um, but we've got God has won 2000 years ago. Jesus defeated Satan, and he's just been waiting for everybody to get the memo. So we can trust in that, and hold fast, talk to people, and like I was saying, I think, rather than just hiding away, I think we should speak up, and um, I think let elected officials know. Think, uh, and I do think maybe people should be holding a sign and saying, remember history, read your Bible, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what's the best sign. Um, but I think like being physically present is a good first step. Like, just showing up, signing up, like online petitions about local government. And I think also boycotting globalist stores, like globalist, like things online, like people are not using Amazon or whatever. Um, I think that is a good thing. And I understand. I mean, I can't do boycotting 100% because just like there's a Target, that's the only place that has fresh food a couple blocks away. But I try to avoid using Amazon or Walmart. Uh, so I think we do what we can. So what do you think? Do you think we're in the dark ages? Let me know. God bless.